Hello, hello. Okay, today I want to give you a quick tip. I'm always giving these quick tips here. But this question comes to me a lot, and I think it's important for health and wellness people who want to get into corporate to know that this question will come up. And it is, are we allowed to be here? And I think that question is what drives me to continue to do my wellness programs because the people who ask me that questions are normally the lowest paid employees, the ones who feel like they're not a part of the bigger group, and the marginalized employees. So I'll give you an example. I did a big wellness program for a very large city in South Florida. And I was doing a nutrition program, Nutrition 1-on-1, and how to manage your health through proper nutrition. This was like 10 years ago. So worksite wellness programs were not as big as they are now. And the program got bigger as I went along because people realized, wow, this is free and it's really interesting. And it's about, how to manage your weight and how to manage your health through proper nutrition. And a bunch of people came in through a side door. I was in an auditorium at this near the city hall. And they were outdoor workers. I could tell they were wearing, it was Florida. They were hot and sweaty and they were dirty from being outside. And they stood off in the corner, and I was hoping that they would sit down. I was assuming they came to hear the program, but then I started thinking, because they didn't sit down, I started thinking maybe they're here to clean up after I'm done. I didn't know. Anyway, at the end of my presentation, I was packing up to leave, and one of the gentlemen who was sort of voted to be the spokesperson for this group of about 7 people walked up to me and said, "Are we allowed to be here?" And I said, "Well, of course, you're an employee. Of course you're allowed to be here." And they said, "Well, we don't feel comfortable here because we are outdoor workers and everybody else is dressed up, and we feel like we're dirty and we smell bad, and we'd like to join the program, but we don't feel like we belong here." And I said, "Of course you do. And I'd love to have you here." But they weren't gonna come to that program that I was doing there. They felt uncomfortable. So I spoke to the mayor of this city, told her about what was going on, and she was wonderful. And the person I worked for, the broker at the time, also wonderful. Both said, yes, do a program specifically for them, wherever we can find a place. It was going to be in a big garage, but they gave me a better spot and put me in a Parks and Rec building. And that program turned out to be absolutely transformational for the attendees. There was a gentleman, I'll never forget him, and he's probably the reason I continue to do this program, my worksite wellness programs. And I do them the way I do them is he had type 2 diabetes, had a sore on his foot that wasn't healing. He didn't know anything about why it wasn't healing. He was eating like a Wonder Bread sandwich with Coke for lunch. And, I had to meet him where he was and talk to him about the seriousness of this condition that he had called type 2 diabetes and how he could manage it and how I could help him and how this wellness program could help him manage this before it got out of control. And we set him on the proper path, got him to a good primary care physician who sent him to the proper endocrinologist, turned his life around completely. And the other people in the program had the same, experience. They really got something very important out of it. So my point to you is, if you're trying to run a worksite wellness program, make sure that you allow people who feel like they might not belong there, make sure you provide information for them. And if you have to do a separate program, typically the company will pay for that because it's so important. And oftentimes those are the people who could never afford your services and really truly need your services. And I promise you, if you get to work with people like that, your life will change and their lives will change. I mean, you can change not only their lives, the lives of their family members. You could conceivably change generations by just teaching somebody something they didn't know about their health, wellness, well-being. That's what lights me up. I hope that is something that lights you up and makes you want to work in the corporate or worksite wellness field. And I say this every time I put something out here, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach out, because what you do is important. What we all do is important. And if you can deliver your program for someone who could otherwise not afford it and not have to give that program away for free, win-win, right? Win-win. So I encourage you to get out there and start reaching out to organizations with your health, wellness, well-being programs. And I know you can do it. You can change a lot of lives in the meantime. So there you go. There's my tip for today. Have a good one.